The ferry horn sounded like a warning. Low, long, final. Mae Lennox almost turned around before the boat even touched the dock. Mae Lennox stood at the rail with one hand wrapped around the strap of her old canvas bag, and the other holding her daughter's small fingers so tightly she had to remind herself not to squeeze. Poppy did not notice. Poppy rarely noticed fear unless it came with snacks, bedtime, or a grown-up saying the word later in a suspicious voice. She was 5 years old, wearing a yellow raincoat, purple rain boots, and a backpack shaped like a rabbit with one ear permanently folded wrong. Her dark curls had escaped their clips before the ferry even left the mainland. Her cheeks were pink from the sea wind. Her gray-green eyes were wide with excitement as the coastline of Briarport Island came into view. Those eyes. Mae had spent 5 years pretending they were just Poppy's eyes. Most days, she almost managed it. Not Rory Halstead's. Not the exact shade of stormwater under pine trees. Not the same eyes Mae had once loved so much she had mistaken silence for safety and heartbreak for wisdom. "Mama," Poppy said, bouncing on her toes, "is that the island where you were little?" Mae swallowed. "Yes, Bug. Is it the island where the lady in the picture lives?" The cold wind cut through Mae's coat. She looked down too quickly. "What lady?" Poppy gave her a deeply disappointed look, the kind only a 5-year-old could manage with true authority. "Mama." Mae closed her eyes for half a second. That tone already had too much Rory in it. "The tall lady," Poppy said. "The one with the serious face. The one Grandma said not to ask about because you get weird." Mae turned toward the water. Her mother had many wonderful qualities. Subtlety had never been one of them. Grandma should not have said weird. She said wistful. Mae looked down. Poppy smiled innocently. "You asked what it meant, didn't you?" "Yes." Grandma said it means sad but fancy. A laugh escaped Mae before she could stop it. It hurt. Most things about coming home did. Briarport Island rose ahead of them in layers of green and gray. Cedar trees leaned over cliffs. White houses dotted the hills. The harbor was tucked into the curve of the land like a secret someone rich had polished. Mae could see the old lighthouse on the western point, the fish market roof, the ferry office, and beyond it, the long stone road that led to the Halstead estate. Halstead. Even the name felt dangerous in her mouth. For 6 years, Mae had lived 2 states away in Portland, Oregon, close enough to pretend she could come back if she wanted, far enough to make sure she never did. She had built a life out of childcare shifts, late-night bookkeeping jobs, community college classes she kept deferring, and a small apartment where Poppy's drawings covered every wall. She had not come back for closure. Closure was something people with clean endings talked about. Mae did not have a clean ending. She had a suitcase, a child, and a heartbeat that still reacted to one name. Mae came back because her father's heart surgery had failed, then saved him, then failed again in a quieter way. He was home now, recovering in the blue house near the harbor, pretending he did not need help because men from Briarport thought vulnerability was what happened to boats in storms. Her mother had asked Mae to come for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, then she could leave again. That was what Mae had told herself. 3 weeks. Do not look for Rory. Do not drive past the old chapel. Do not take Poppy anywhere near Halstead property. Do not answer questions that begin with why. The ferry bumped gently against the dock. Poppy gasped as if they had survived a historic disaster. "We made it!" "We did. Can I tell Grandpa I was very brave?" "You can tell him you were dramatic. That means brave but louder." Mae looked at her. Poppy smiled with all her teeth. The ferry doors opened. Cars rolled out first, then passengers. Mae adjusted Poppy's backpack, lifted their suitcase, and stepped onto the dock of the place that had broken her heart so thoroughly it had taken a child to put it back together wrong. The harbor smelled the same. Salt, diesel, wet rope, coffee from the little bakery near the terminal. The smell hit Mae like a memory with elbows. And beneath it all, cedar. For one impossible second, Mae thought of Rory's old jacket, the one she used to steal in winter because Rory ran too warm and Mae was always cold. "Mama," Poppy said. Mae blinked. "Yes? Are you doing the wistful thing?" "No. You look like when I ask where my other parent is." Mae's hand tightened around the suitcase handle. Poppy looked up, curious but not sad. "Not yet." Mae had always answered carefully. "You have me. You have Grandma and Grandpa. Your other mother is someone I loved a long time ago. No, she does not know you. No, it was not because of you. Yes, you are wanted. Always wanted. Never a mistake. The last one mattered most. A child could survive many mysteries if she never had to wonder whether she was loved." Mae crouched in front of Poppy and fixed the crooked rabbit ear on her backpack. "We're here to help Grandpa," Mae said gently. "That's the important thing." Poppy studied her. "With no secrets?" Mae's throat tightened. "Ugh. You said families should not have big secrets. Only little secrets, like birthday presents and where Grandma hides the good cookies." Mae had said that. She had said many brave things to Poppy that she herself did not know how to live. Before Mae could answer, a voice behind her said her name. Not loudly, not dramatically, just one word. Mae. The harbor vanished. The gulls, the ferry workers, the wet dock beneath her boots, the suitcase digging into her palm. All of it became distance. Mae knew that voice. She knew it in the bones. Her body knew it before her mind forgave it. She had heard it in dreams for 6 years, sometimes soft with laughter, sometimes sharp with worry, sometimes saying her name the way no one else ever had, like it was a place to come home to. Slowly she stood. Rory Halstead stood beside the ferry office, one hand at her side, the other holding a paper coffee cup she seemed to have forgotten. She was taller than Mae remembered, or maybe memory had been kinder to Mae's self-control. Rory had always been beautiful in a way that made people look twice and then pretend they had not. Now she was harder. Sharper. A cold alpha grown fully into her name. Black coat, dark green scarf, brown hair cut just below her jaw, neat but wind-touched, strong shoulders, face calm enough to be frightening. But her eyes were the same, gray-green, storm water under pine trees. And right now they were fixed on Mae, like the world had just committed an impossible act. Mae could not speak. Her body remembered too much. The first year of college at Briarport Community. Rory laughing with chalk dust on her sleeve. Rory bringing soup when Mae had the flu. Rory standing between Mae and a drunk alpha at a solstice bonfire without ever making Mae feel owned. Rory looking away first whenever the room became too honest. Rory's hand hovering near Mae's back, but never landing unless invited. Rory whispering, "I don't want to lose you," on a night when they were both 22 and too scared to name what they already were. Then the letter. The unanswered calls, the locked gate, the Halstead lawyer, the sentence that had sent Mae running. "Miss Halstead has no interest in being contacted by you again." "Mama?" Poppy asked. Rory's gaze dropped. Mae felt it happen like a glass breaking in slow motion. Rory looked at Poppy, at the dark curls, at the stubborn chin, at the serious little mouth, at the gray-green eyes staring back at her with equal curiosity. For 2 seconds, Rory did not breathe. Poppy tilted her head. Rory tilted hers without meaning to. The same angle. The same exact little crease between their brows. Mae wanted the dock to open and swallow all 3 of them. Instead, the island stayed exactly where it was. Poppy's face suddenly lit up. "Oh!" Mae closed her eyes. "No. Please no." Poppy pointed at Rory with the confidence of a child identifying a rare bird. "You're the serious lady from Mama's box." Silence. Rory's eyes moved back to Mae. "Box?" Mae's mouth opened. No sound came out. Poppy nodded, delighted to be useful. Mama has a blue box under the bed. It has pictures and letters and a scarf that smells funny because it is old. Grandma said not to snoop, but I wasn't snooping. I was finding my missing dinosaur. Mae whispered. Poppy. What? Mr. Chompers was in there. Rory looked as if someone had reached into her chest and moved everything 1 inch to the left. Mae hated that she still knew Rory well enough to see it. You kept my letters? Mae heard herself laugh once. It sounded terrible. I didn't get your letters. Rory went completely still. The coffee cup in her hand crumpled slightly. What? Poppy looked between them. Her voice dropped into a whisper that was not quiet at all. Mama, is this the lady who made you wistful? A ferry worker dropped a chain somewhere behind them. The metallic crash cut through the silence. Mae grabbed the suitcase handle. We need to go. Rory took 1 step forward. Not enough to block her. Enough to ask the air not to end this yet. Mae. Not here. Rory looked at Poppy again. This time, the shock in her face sharpened into something close to fear. How old is she? Mae's heart stopped. Poppy answered proudly before Mae could breathe. 5 3/4. Rory closed her eyes. When she opened them, the cold alpha mask had cracked. Not shattered. Cracked. Enough for Mae to remember the girl beneath it. Mae, she said, voice lower now. Why does your daughter have my eyes? Poppy gasped. I do? Mae could not move. Rory stared at her. The fairy horn sounded again behind them. Low, long, final. And Mae realized the secret she had carried across 6 years, 2 cities, 3 apartments, and 1 childhood full of carefully edited answers had not survived 5 minutes on Briarport Island. Her mother had been waiting beside the bakery with a cardboard sign that said, Welcome home, my favorite runaways. Under normal circumstances, Mae would have complained about the plural. Today, she nearly cried at the sight of it. Her mother, June Lennox, was small, round-faced, silver-haired, and terrifying when holding a casserole dish. Her father often said June had survived island winters, family debt, church committees, and Mae's teenage poetry phase, which meant no force on earth could intimidate her. Then June saw Rory Halstead standing behind Mae on the dock. The sign lowered. Oh, June said. Poppy waved both arms. Grandma, I met the serious lady. June's gaze moved from Rory to Mae to Poppy. Then she shut her eyes briefly, as if asking the universe whether it had considered pacing. Rory said, Mrs. Lennox. Her voice was polite. Too polite. June's mouth softened despite everything. Rory. Mae hated that her mother's face still held affection. Rory had once been family adjacent. The girl who fixed the porch light. The alpha who drove Mae home from late shifts. The quiet presence at holiday dinners because the Halstead estate was too cold, and June's kitchen was loud enough to disguise loneliness. Then, everything broke. And June had never fully believed the break happened the way Mae said it did. Mom, Mae said, her voice thin. Can you take Poppy to the car? Poppy frowned. But I want to talk to the serious lady. Rory looked down at her. The corner of her mouth trembled. Not quite a smile. Not safe enough to be one. My name is Rory, she said. Poppy considered that. Rory, serious lady. Rory blinked. June made a small strangled sound that might have been a cough. Mae pressed her fingers to her eyes. Poppy beamed. I'm Poppy. I'm 5 3/4. I like pancakes, sea otters, and asking questions. I noticed. Do I really have your eyes? Poppy, Mae warned. Rory did not look away from the child. Yes, she said quietly. I think you might. Poppy's face turned thoughtful. Is that bad? Rory's expression changed so quickly, Mae almost reached for her. No, Rory said. No, sweetheart, it isn't bad. Sweetheart. The word landed gently. Mae's chest tightened with a pain so old it had become part of her posture. June stepped forward and took Poppy's free hand. Come on, little hurricane. Grandpa is waiting at home, and if we don't get there soon, he'll try to make lunch by himself. Poppy gasped. With the stove? Exactly. That's dangerous. Historically, yes. Poppy allowed herself to be led away, but twisted around to wave at Rory. Bye, Rory, serious lady. Rory lifted one hand. Aye, Poppy. Mae watched her daughter skip toward the car with June. Then she turned back to Rory. The harbor seemed too bright, too public, too full of places they had once stood without secrets between them. Rory's face was unreadable again, but her eyes were not. Her eyes were devastated. I wrote to you, Rory said. Mae's throat burned. No, you didn't. I wrote every week for almost a year. No. I called your mother's house. Your father said you were safe, but didn't want contact. Mae stepped back. My father never said that. Rory's jaw tightened. Then someone did. The old hurt rose fast, defensive, familiar. Your family's lawyer gave me a letter. My family's lawyer? The week after I told your mother I was pregnant. Rory went white. All the color vanished from her face so completely, Mae almost reached out again. Rory said nothing. Mae wanted to stop. She had told herself this moment, if it ever came, would be careful, private, prepared. She would explain gently. She would protect Poppy from the worst of it. She would not let Rory's pain turn into accusation or her own guilt into surrender. Instead, the harbor wind shoved cold through her coat, while the woman she had loved for half her life stared at her like Mae had just handed her both a miracle and a wound. You told my mother, Rory said. Mae's laugh came out sharp. I tried to tell you first. Rory's eyes snapped up. What? I called. You didn't answer. I left messages. Then your number stopped working. I went to the estate. The gate code had changed. Your mother came out herself. Rory looked ill. Mae wrapped her arms around herself. She told me you had accepted the Halstead Fellowship in Zurich, that you wanted a clean start, that whatever happened between us at the lighthouse was a mistake you regretted. Rory's lips parted. Mae kept going, because stopping would hurt more. I didn't believe her, not at first. Then the lawyer gave me your letter. I never sent a lawyer. It said you were sorry for giving me the wrong impression, that friendship had blurred lines, that you had obligations to your family, that any child would be my responsibility. Rory flinched as if struck. Mae looked away. I was 22, Rory. I was pregnant. I was scared. Your mother was standing there like I was a stain she could have removed before lunch. Mae. I waited for you anyway. For 3 weeks. Then I got a final notice from my landlord, a job offer from Portland, and an envelope with enough cash for a bus ticket and a note telling me to be reasonable. Rory's voice broke. From my mother. Mae smiled without humor. Of course from your mother. Rory looked toward the hill where the Halstead estate sat beyond the trees. For 1 second, Mae saw something dangerous move through her face. Not anger at Mae. Worse. Purpose. Where is the letter? Rory asked. Mae's hand tightened around her bag strap. I kept it. Good. Why? Because I need to know how much of my life my mother stole. The words were quiet. They still made the air change. Mae stood frozen. Rory turned back to her. When is Poppy's birthday? September 23rd. Rory closed her eyes. The math did what the resemblance had started. Mae hated that she noticed the exact moment it happened. Rory opened her eyes again. She did not step closer. She did not demand. She did not reach for Mae's arm, or say mine, or make the mistake of thinking biology was the same as earned trust. She only asked, Does she know? Mae shook her head. No. Rory's mouth tightened. Does she know anything? She knows she has another mother somewhere. She knows I loved that person. She knows she was wanted. She knows it was not her fault. Rory looked down. A tear hit the dock between her boots. Mae had never seen Rory cry in public. Not once. Not when her father died. Not when Helena Halstead turned the funeral into a business reception. Not when Rory got into a screaming match with her brother and returned to Mae's apartment shaking with rage but dry-eyed. Now one tear fell, and Rory looked furious with herself for letting gravity witness it. "I missed her whole life," Rory said. Mae's own eyes burned. "I know." Rory looked at her then. There was hurt in her face, yes, and anger, and grief, but not hatred. That was almost worse. "I need time," Rory said. Mae nodded too fast. "Of course. I need time before I ask all the questions I have no right to ask in front of a ferry terminal." Mae looked away. "Okay. And I need you to know something before your fear decides for both of us again." Mae's breath caught. Rory's voice lowered. "I would have come." The words broke something. Mae swallowed hard. "You don't know that. I know exactly that. You were 22. I loved you." Mae stared at her. The harbor went silent again, not because it had stopped moving, but because Mae's body forgot how to listen. Rory's face did not soften. It became steadier. "I was in love with you before the lighthouse," she said. "I was in love with you after. I was in love with you when you vanished. I spent 6 years believing I had done something unforgivable, and you had chosen a life where I couldn't reach you." Mae shook her head slowly. "No. Yes. I thought you didn't want us. I didn't know there was an us." The sentence landed between them, with all the years inside it. June called from near the car. "Mae, sweetheart." Poppy was waving both hands out the open window. "Grandpa is going to explode from waiting." Mae wiped her face quickly. Rory noticed. Of course she did. She always noticed too much. "Go," Rory said. Mae nodded. But before she could turn, Rory added, "Mae." She looked back. Rory stood in the sea wind, tall and still, and wrecked. "I will not take her from you." Mae's breath left her. "I need you to hear that before anyone else gets in your head," Rory said. "I don't know what happens now. I don't know what I deserve. But Poppy is not leverage. She is not a Halstead asset. She is not something to be claimed because blood finally noticed itself." Mae covered her mouth. Rory's voice trembled. "She is your daughter. If I am ever allowed to become anything to her, it will be because you and she choose it." Mae could not answer. Rory nodded once, as if she had not expected one. Then she turned and walked toward the old stone road that led up the hill. Mae watched until the trees took her. Only then did she realize she was shaking. The Lennox house had not changed enough. That was the cruelty of it. Blue siding faded by salt air. White trim her father repainted every other summer whether it needed it or not. Porch steps that creaked on the left side. A brass bell by the kitchen door. Hydrangeas along the fence, heavy with rain. Mae had spent 6 years becoming someone who did not belong here anymore, only to discover the house had been patiently waiting to recognize her. Her father, Tom Lennox, opened the door before the car fully stopped. He was thinner than she remembered. That hurt. His cardigan hung loose from his shoulders. His face was pale beneath the stubborn cheer he had arranged for her arrival, but his eyes were bright when he saw Poppy. "There's my best girl." Poppy launched herself at him. "Grandpa, I was brave on the ferry, and I met a serious lady, and Mama got the wistful face, and Grandma said you might use the stove." Tom blinked. "That is a lot of information in one greeting." Poppy nodded solemnly. "I contain multitudes." Mae looked at her mother. June looked away very quickly. "Mom?" "What?" "It's a useful phrase." They carried bags inside. Poppy immediately inspected the house as if she had been hired by a very small government agency. She approved the cookie jar, questioned the wallpaper in the guest room, and declared the bathtub acceptable but not majestic. Mae moved through it all like a ghost. Rory knew. Rory knew Poppy might be hers. Rory knew Helena had lied. Rory said she loved me. The thoughts came one after another until Mae could not tell which hurt most. After dinner, once Poppy was asleep in Mae's old bedroom with Mr. Chompers the dinosaur tucked under her arm, Mae found her parents in the kitchen. Her mother was washing a mug that had already been washed. Her father was sitting at the table with his medication organizer open in front of him, staring at the Monday slot like it contained a legal threat. Mae closed the door quietly. Both of them looked up. Rory was at the dock, she said. Her mother shut off the tap. Her father closed his eyes. Mae's chest tightened. You knew. June dried her hands slowly. We knew she still lived on the island. No. Mae's voice shook. You knew, she wrote. Her father looked down. Mae stared at him. Dad? Tom pressed his fingers to his forehead. I didn't know at first. That was not no. Mae gripped the back of a chair. What does that mean? June looked at her husband. Tom. He nodded once. Then he stood, crossed to the small desk near the pantry, and opened the bottom drawer. He removed a bundle tied with twine. Letters. Mae knew before he turned around. Her knees went weak. No. Tom placed them on the table like they might explode. They came after you left, he said. One a week, sometimes two. Mae stared at the bundle. Rory's handwriting across the top envelope. Mae. Not Miss Lennox. Not any cold legal name. Mae. Her father's voice was rough. Your mother wanted to forward them. Mae looked at June. Her mother's eyes were wet. I did. Then why didn't you? Tom's jaw tightened with old shame. Helena came here. The room turned cold. She told us Rory was unstable, he said. That you leaving had humiliated the Halstead family. That if we allowed contact, she would drag you into court. She said Rory had resources we couldn't fight, and that any child involved would become a legal matter. Mae's hand moved to her stomach, even though Poppy was 5 now. June whispered, We were afraid. Mae laughed once. It came out broken. You kept these from me because Helena scared you? Tom flinched. I was wrong. Yes. I thought I was protecting you. Mae looked at him. Every adult in her life had tried to protect her by hiding the part that hurt. Helena with money. Her parents with silence. Mae with distance. Poppy had inherited all their consequences. I needed the truth, Mae said. Not protection. June wiped her face. I know. Mae reached for the bundle. Her fingers shook as she untied the twine. The first letter was dated 4 days after she arrived in Portland. Mae, I went to the apartment and your key was on the counter. I thought it was a joke at first. A cruel one, but not yours. I don't understand. Your note said opportunity overseas, but your mother said Portland. My mother says you need space. I do not trust the way she said it. Please call me. If I did something, tell me. If I hurt you, let me come apologize. If you need me to stay away, write it in your hand and I will obey it. But I need to know you are safe. Rory. Mae could not breathe. The second letter. Mae. I am trying not to panic. That is a lie. I am panicking with structure. I called your father again. He said you were safe and asked me not to call anymore. I heard your mother crying in the background. That seems relevant. No one will explain why. I went to the lighthouse today. I don't know why. Maybe because it is the last place I was brave. I remember every second. Do you? R. Mae pressed a hand to her mouth. The third. Mae. My mother says I am embarrassing myself. Greer says I should break into the county records and find you that way. Greer is unhelpful but emotionally correct. I will not force contact. I promised you once that I would never use being an alpha as a reason to enter spaces I was not invited into. I am trying to keep that promise even now. But please, if there is any part of you that still trusts me, send one word. Anything. Even goodbye. Rory. Mae folded over the table. June caught her shoulders. Mae pulled away, not harshly. Enough. I need air. She took the letters and walked onto the porch. Rain had started. Fine mist, silver under the porch light. The island smelled like cedar and regret. Mae sat on the top step and read until the words blurred. Letter after letter. Rory angry. Rory confused. Rory careful not to push. Rory begging, without saying beg, because she knew Mae hated feeling cornered. By the 10th letter, the handwriting had become rougher. Mae, my mother admitted she spoke to you. Not what she said, only that she handled an unfortunate misunderstanding. I do not know what that means yet. I am going to find out. If you are staying away because you want to, I will respect it. If you are staying away because someone made you believe I chose anything over you, I need you to know I didn't. I would not. I did not. Rory. Mae covered her face. The screen door opened behind her. June came out but did not sit. I know sorry is not enough, her mother said. Mae stared into the rain. No, it isn't. I was afraid Helena would take the baby. So was I. I should have been braver. Mae looked back. Her mother's face crumpled. For the first time, Mae saw not just the woman who had failed her, but the mother who had been terrified and poor and facing a Halstead threat with nothing but a casserole dish and a husband with bad blood pressure. It did not excuse it. It complicated it. Mae was tired of complicated things. Poppy asks about her other mother, Mae said. June covered her mouth. She asks if she has my smile, if she likes pancakes, if she knows how to braid hair, if she would have wanted her. June cried silently. Mae looked back at the rain. I always told Poppy yes, even when I believed Rory didn't know, even when I hated her a little. I still told Poppy yes. Why? Because I knew Rory. Before all this, I knew her. The porch light hummed above them. Mae looked down at the letters in her lap. Tomorrow, I'm going to see her. June nodded. And I'm taking these. Another nod. And after that, I don't know. That's fair. Mae almost laughed. Is it? June sat beside her then. The two women watched the rain fall over the old porch, the harbor lights soft beyond the hill. Inside, Poppy slept without knowing half her life had begun knocking. Rory Halstead did not sleep. She had never been good at it. Sleep required surrender, and surrender had never been encouraged in the Halstead house. Her mother believed rest was what people took when they had failed to maintain enough urgency. Her late father had believed sleep was an appointment best rescheduled indefinitely. Rory had built her adulthood on insomnia and black coffee. It was not a personality. It was damage with a schedule. Tonight felt different. Tonight, sleep was impossible, because there was a child on Briarport Island with her eyes. Her daughter, maybe. Number. Not maybe. Rory had done the math 12 times. She knew. Her body knew in ways her mind had not caught up to yet. The moment Poppy tilted her head at the dock, something ancient and alpha deep had answered before logic arrived. Mine, instinct had whispered. Then Mae's terrified face had corrected it. Not yours to claim. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Rory sat in the study of the Halstead estate, with the lights off and a glass of untouched whiskey beside her. The estate was too large for one person and too full of Helena. Rory had lived there for years and still sometimes felt like a guest with the wrong blood pressure. Portraits, silver-framed obligations, polished furniture no one sat on without thinking about posture. The kind of silence that did not comfort, it supervised. Greer Halstead walked in at 1:12 a.m. without knocking. She was Rory's older sister by 9 years, and the only living person who could ignore Helena's house rules without being reduced to ash. Greer wore muddy boots, a cashmere sweater, and the expression of a woman who had smelled drama from across the island and followed it home. I heard Mae Lennox is back. Rory did not look up. From whom? Briarport has 900 people and 3 hobbies. Gossip is 2 of them. Rory stared at the dark window. Greer came closer. Also, I saw June Lennox at the pharmacy buying dinosaur bandages, gummy vitamins, and a bottle of wine at 11 in the morning. That combination suggested either a child or a haunting. Rory picked up the whiskey glass. Did not drink. Greer's voice changed. Rory. Rory closed her eyes. She has a daughter. Silence. Then Greer sat down. Not in the chair across from the desk, on the edge of the desk itself, because she had never respected furniture hierarchy. How old? 5. Greer exhaled. Ah. Don't say ah. I am saying ah, because if I say anything else, it will be legally unhelpful. Rory laughed once, dry and empty. Greer studied her. Does the child look like you? Rory set the glass down. She has my eyes, Greer swore. The word sounded almost elegant in her mouth. I saw Mae, Rory said, at the ferry. And she told me she tried to contact me after she found out she was pregnant. Greer went very still. Rory, she said mother came to the gate, then the lawyer. Greer stood. The temperature of the room seemed to change with her. She did what? Rory finally looked at her sister. Greer's face was pale with fury. That was new. Greer got irritated, amused, cruel when cornered, protective when necessary. But fury? True fury? That took work. You knew? Rory asked. No. Greer's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. I knew mother hated Mae because Mae made you human, which was inconvenient for dynastic planning. I knew she encouraged the Zurich Fellowship after Mae left. I knew she called Mae unsuitable. I did not know she interfered with a pregnancy. Rory's hand curled against the desk. She kept letters from Mae. How do you know? Because I wrote them. Greer inhaled slowly. Then she said, I am going to kill our mother. No, I am going to emotionally kill our mother. Get in line. Greer turned toward the door. Where are you going? To wake Helena. It's 1 in the morning. Good. She'll be at her weakest. Rory stood. Greer. Her sister stopped. If we go to her now, she controls the conversation. Greer's jaw worked. Rory came around the desk. I need proof before I hand her my anger. Mae kept the lawyer's letter. I need to see it. If it carries our legal seal, then Helena used family counsel to bury my child. Greer's face hardened. Not family counsel. Rory's eyes narrowed. What? Greer looked away. After father died, Helena kept a private attorney for delicate matters. Simon Vale. Rory went cold. Vale handled the estate restructuring. And anything she didn't want on Halstead letterhead. Rory stared at her sister. You knew about him. I knew he existed, not what he did. Rory walked to the fireplace. It had not been lit in years because Helena disliked the smell of smoke. Mae used to joke that the Halstead house had fireplaces for aesthetic suffering only. Mae, Poppy, 5 years. Rory gripped the mantle. She thought I abandoned her. Greer's voice softened. Rory. She thought I knew about Poppy and chose my family. She was lied to. So was I. Yes. It doesn't give either of us those years back. Greer came to stand beside her. No, she said. It doesn't. Rory looked at the cold fireplace. I don't know how to be a mother. Greer's expression shifted. You learn. What if she doesn't want me? The child? Yes. Greer's mouth quirked despite everything. Children are notoriously corruptible. Bring pancakes. Rory looked at her. Sorry, wrong tone. No, Rory said quietly. It helps. Greer touched her shoulder once. brief. A Halstead approximation of an embrace. Do you love Mae? Rory's laugh hurt. That question is 6 years late. Answer it anyway. Yes. Still? Rory looked toward the window. Beyond the glass, the island slept under rain. Somewhere in town, Mae was probably awake too. Maybe reading old letters. Maybe hating Rory. Maybe holding their daughter. Still, Rory said. Greer nodded. Then do one thing our family never taught us. What? Wait to be invited. Rory closed her eyes. At 7:03 the next morning, Mae texted, Can we talk? Rory replied too fast. Yes. Then, after staring at the screen long enough to hate herself, she added, Wherever you feel safest. The answer came 3 minutes later. Old Lighthouse, 9. Rory stared at the message. The lighthouse. Of course. She arrived at 8:40 because being early was the only way she knew how to panic privately. Punctuality had always been Rory's most socially acceptable anxiety. The western point of Briarport Island looked exactly like it had 6 years ago. Seagrass bending in the wind, gray water crashing against black rocks below, the lighthouse white and red and stubborn against weather, a narrow path leading down to the cove where they had spent too many nights pretending friendship, explained everything. Rory stood near the railing with her hands in her coat pockets and remembered the last night, the summer solstice after graduation. The bonfire on the beach, Mae laughing with smoke in her hair, Rory walking her away from the noise because Mae said crowds made her feel like her skin did not fit. The lighthouse steps, the confession neither of them planned. Mae saying, If this ruins us, I will never forgive the universe. Rory saying, Then let's not let it ruin us. The kiss. Clear, consensual, terrifyingly gentle. The kind of kiss that made both of them laugh afterward because neither knew what to do with the silence. The night that followed had not been reckless because of alcohol or confusion. They had been adults, frightened by honesty but not unclear. Rory remembered every second. That was what made the 6 years crueler. She remembered loving Mae. Mae arrived at 9:02, alone. Rory turned. Mae wore a blue raincoat and no makeup. Her hair was tied back, but the wind had already pulled pieces loose around her face. She carried a canvas tote against her side. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. Then Mae held out the tote. Letters. Rory took it carefully, as if the bag contained bone. Maybe it did, in a way. The skeleton of 6 missing years. Mae crossed her arms. My father had them. Rory's jaw tightened. He told me Helena threatened them. Rory looked toward the sea. I believe it. I read them. Rory closed her eyes. All of them? Most. I was angry in some. You were careful in all of them. Rory opened her eyes. Mae's expression hurt. That was the only word for it. Hurt. Not soft enough to be longing, not hard enough to be blame. Something in between, where grief lived when it had run out of clean shapes. I'm sorry, Mae said. Rory shook her head. No. Rory. No. Not yet. I can't take your apology before I understand what you were made to survive. Mae's eyes filled. She looked away fast. Rory gripped the tote strap to keep from reaching for her. Did you bring it? Rory asked. Mae nodded. She pulled an envelope from inside her coat. Cream paper. Heavy. Expensive. Rory knew the style. Helena's private stationery. No crest, no official mark. Power did not always need a logo. Rory took it. Inside was a single page. Ms. Lennox. Ms. Halstead regrets the unfortunate emotional confusion between you. She will not be available for further contact. She has chosen to honor her obligations to the Halstead family and will not be involved in any personal matters resulting from your time together. Should you require financial assistance for relocation, enclosed funds may be accepted as final closure. Future attempts to contact Ms. Halstead, her family, or her representatives will be considered harassment. Simon Vale Counsel to Helena Halstead. Rory read it once. Then again. Her hands began to shake. Mae watched. I believed it, she said. I didn't want to, but I did. Rory folded the letter carefully. Not because it deserved care. Because if she moved too fast, she might tear it apart before it could testify. She told me you left because you realized island life would trap you, Rory said. She said you accepted a bookkeeping position in Portland and asked not to be contacted. When I didn't believe her, she told me your father had confirmed it. Mae laughed softly. Her face crumpled halfway through. My father thought you'd take Poppy. Rory looked at her. So did I. The truth was quieter than accusation. Rory felt it cut deeper. I won't, she said. You already said that. I'll keep saying it until you believe me. Mae wiped her cheek with her sleeve. Very Mae. Rory nearly smiled. Nearly broke. Instead, she asked, Can I know her? Mae closed her eyes. The wind moved between them. Yes, she said, slowly. Rory's chest hurt. Thank you. She doesn't know yet. I need time to explain. Of course. And I decide what she hears first. Yes. And if she gets overwhelmed, you back off. Immediately. And if Helena comes near her, she won't. Mae's eyes opened. Rory's voice had gone cold. Not at Mae. For Mae. For Poppy. Rory. My mother will not touch your child. Our child, Mae said, then froze. The words surprised them both. Rory stopped breathing. Mae turned scarlet. I didn't mean... I know. No, I mean I did mean... I just... Rory could not help it. She smiled. Small. Broken. Real. Mae stared at her like the smile had reached across 6 years and unlocked a door. Then she looked away. Don't do that. Do what? Look hopeful. It makes me feel cruel. You are not cruel. I kept your daughter from you. You were lied to and frightened. I still made choices. Yes, Rory said. So did I. Mae looked at her. I should have broken into your parents' house, Rory said. Mae blinked. What? I considered it. Greer suggested it. Of course she did. I decided respecting your silence mattered more than satisfying my panic. That was a choice. It cost us. Mae stared at the sea. We were both trying not to become our worst fears. And Helena used that. The name settled like poison. Mae shivered. Rory noticed. She took off her scarf and held it out. Mae looked at it. Rory, you're cold. I know what I am. Then take the scarf. For a moment, Mae looked 22 again. Annoyed, fond, heartbroken in the same breath. She took it. Their fingers brushed. Both went still. The old pull was still there. Not gone. Not weaker. Only buried badly. Mae wrapped the scarf around her neck and stared anywhere but at Rory. It still smells like you. Rory's breath caught. Mae's face flushed. I didn't mean to say that out loud. I'm glad you did. Don't be charming. I'm not. I've been described as emotionally weatherproof. Mae laughed. A real laugh. Short. Startled. Beautiful. Rory felt it in places she had tried to make numb. The lighthouse door creaked behind them in the wind. Mae looked toward it. I told Poppy I would take her for pancakes at 10. Rory nodded. Then go. She asked if you like pancakes. Rory's heart stumbled. What did you say? I said I didn't know anymore. Rory looked at her. I do. Mae's mouth softened. Blueberry? Still. Too much syrup? Measured incorrectly by most people. Mae almost smiled. I'll tell her. Rory stepped back. Not because she wanted to. Because Greer was right. Wait to be invited. Mae walked 3 steps down the path. Then she turned. Rory? Yes? Poppy asked if the serious lady could come to the beach tomorrow, for shell hunting. Rory's throat tightened. And what did you say? I said I would ask. The world narrowed to the distance between them. Rory nodded once. I would like that very much. Mae studied her. Then, softer, 9? I'll be there. Mae looked at the scarf around her own neck, then back at Rory. You can have this back tomorrow. No rush. Rory, I own other scarves. Mae shook her head, but this time when she turned away, her shoulders were not as high. Rory watched her leave with the tote of letters in one hand and proof of theft in the other. For the first time in 6 years, she had a place to be tomorrow. Poppy arrived at the beach carrying a bucket, a magnifying glass, and the solemn energy of a scientist underfunded by society. Rory stood near the driftwood line at exactly 8:58, because arriving 2 minutes early to meet a child was less alarming than 20. Mae noticed anyway. Poppy did too. You are punctual, Poppy announced. Rory crouched down so they were closer to eye level. I try to be. That means you come when you say you will. Yes. Good. Mama says that matters. Rory looked at Mae. Mae was standing a few feet away in jeans, boots, and Rory's scarf, still wearing it. Rory looked back at Poppy. Your mama is right. Poppy held up the bucket. We are hunting shells. Rules. No stealing from crabs, no licking rocks, and if you find a purple shell, I get it because I am small. Rory nodded seriously. Understood, Mae muttered. The no licking rocks rule has history, Poppy said. One time too many. Rory hid a smile. Poppy noticed. You can laugh. Mama is funny when she's bossy. Rory's eyes flicked to Mae again. She always has been. Mae looked away. The morning was cold but bright. The tide had pulled back, leaving wet sand shining under the sky. Poppy moved ahead in zigzags, inspecting every stone with dramatic suspicion. Rory walked slowly beside Mae, far enough not to crowd her, close enough to hear when Mae's breath changed. A strange thing happened after the first 10 minutes. Poppy forgot to be shy. Rory forgot how to breathe normally. She asked Rory if she had a pet. Rory said no. Poppy told her this was sad but fixable. She asked if Rory could climb trees. Rory said she used to. Poppy demanded evidence. Mae intervened before Rory could look toward the nearest cedar with dangerous consideration. Poppy asked what Rory did for work. I manage Halstead Harbor Development. Poppy frowned. Do you build harbors? Not exactly. Do you boss people? Sometimes. Poppy nodded. Mama bosses me when I don't brush my teeth. That seems important. It is oppression, Mae said. It is hygiene. Rory pressed her lips together. Poppy looked between them and gasped. You almost laughed. I did not. You did in your eyes. Rory crouched to inspect a shell. Your evidence is circumstantial. Poppy turned to Mae. What does circumstantial mean? It means Rory is avoiding accountability. Poppy nodded solemnly. Rory, don't avoid accountability. Rory lost the fight. She laughed. Not much. Enough. Poppy froze, then grinned like she had won a championship. Mae looked at Rory with an expression so nakedly tender it almost undid her. Then Mae looked away too quickly. Halfway down the beach, Poppy found a piece of sea glass. Green. Smooth. She held it up to the sun. Treasure. It is, Rory said. Can I keep it? Yes. Poppy slipped it into her coat pocket, then suddenly looked up at Rory. Do you know my other mother? Mae stopped walking. Rory's breath locked. Poppy continued with the casual brutality of childhood. Mama said I have one. She said she loved her a long time ago. Is it someone on the island? The sea moved around them. Mae wished it would speak for her. It did not. Mae looked as if she might reach for Poppy and run. Rory crouched slowly, keeping her hands visible, her voice gentle. That is a question your mama should answer first. Poppy frowned. Why? Because some stories belong to families before they belong to other people. Poppy considered this. Are you other people? Rory looked at Mae. Mae's eyes were wet. Rory answered carefully. I don't know yet. Poppy seemed to accept that, at least for now. Okay, but if you find out who she is, tell her I like pancakes. Rory's throat closed. I will. Poppy ran ahead to chase foam. Mae whispered, Thank you. Rory stood. I meant it. I know. They walked in silence for several steps. Then Mae said, I'm going to tell her soon. Rory nodded. When she's calm. Not after a big day. Not because I feel guilty. That sounds wise. Mae laughed softly. Do you have an opinion? Yes. And? I want to know her so badly I feel like my skin hurts, Rory said. But I would rather wait than make her afraid of the truth. Mae stopped. Rory did too. Poppy was far enough away, crouched over a tide pool, singing to a crab who looked uninterested. Mae looked at Rory. You really loved me? Rory's answer was immediate. Yes. Save lynched at the speed of it. Rory softened her voice. I still do, but I know that does not fix anything. Mae covered her face with one hand. I don't know how to hold that. You don't have to yet. I hated you for a while. I know. No, I need to say it. Mae looked up, eyes bright. I hated you when Poppy had fevers and I was alone. I hated you when she said her first word, and there was no one to tell who would understand why I cried for an hour. I hated you when she drew two mothers and asked me which one was missing. I hated you because hating you was easier than admitting I missed you. Rory took it. Every word. No defense. No interruption. She had 6 years of not knowing. Mae had 6 years of carrying. Both deserved space to bleed. So Rory stood there and let Mae's anger have air. I'm sorry, Rory said. You didn't know. I'm sorry anyway. Mae looked tired suddenly. So tired. Rory wanted to reach out. Did not. Poppy came running back with muddy boots and a shell in each fist. I found one shaped like a potato. Mae wiped her face fast. Poppy looked suspicious. Were you crying? Allergies. Poppy narrowed her eyes. You don't have allergies. Rory made the mistake of smiling. Poppy pointed at her. You know she lies about allergies too? Rory nodded slowly. I am learning. Poppy sighed. Grown-ups are exhausting. Mae laughed then. Not because it was easy. Because it was true. By noon, Poppy had collected 14 shells, 1 questionable feather, and a rock she insisted looked like a disappointed whale. Rory walked them to June's car but stopped several feet away, allowing the goodbye to belong to Mae. Poppy hugged Rory's leg without warning. Rory went rigid. Then she looked at Mae. Permission? Mae nodded once. Rory bent carefully and hugged Poppy back. Not too tight. Not too long. But Poppy melted into it as if the world had always allowed this shape. Rory's face nearly broke. Mae looked away before her own did. Bye, Rory, serious lady. Rory swallowed. Bye, Poppy. Poppy pulled back. Can you come for pancakes someday? Rory looked at Mae. Mae's expression was unreadable. Then she said, maybe this week. Poppy cheered and climbed into the car. Mae closed the door. For a moment, they stood together under a sky full of gulls. Then Mae took off Rory's scarf and held it out. Rory did not take it immediately. Mae said, You said no rush. I did. I'm returning it before Poppy asks if I'm keeping your smell. Rory's mouth twitched. Mae smiled despite herself. It was small. It was everything. Rory took the scarf. Their fingers brushed again. This time neither pulled away as quickly. Mae whispered, This is terrifying. Rory nodded. Yes. I don't know what we're doing. Neither do I. That's not reassuring. I know. Mae laughed under her breath. Then she stepped back. Pancakes. Thursday, 10, at my parents' house. Rory's heart lifted so sharply it almost hurt. I'll be there. Mae opened the driver's door, then looked back. And Rory? Yes? Don't bring anything expensive. Rory blinked. I was not planning to. Mae gave her a look. Rory thought about the hand-carved wooden sea otter toy she had ordered at 3 a.m. It is not expensive, she said carefully. Mae pointed at her. Rory, it is locally made. Rory, it supports island artisans. Mae got into the car while laughing. Rory stood in the parking lot with her scarf in her hands and Poppy's hug still warm against her coat. Thursday pancakes became a test. Not officially. No one called it that. But everyone knew. Even Poppy, who wore a paper crown and called herself the breakfast inspector. June cleaned the kitchen as if the governor were coming. Tom pretended he was not nervous by reorganizing the same stack of newspapers 3 times. Mae burned the first batch because she kept looking out the window. Poppy wore overalls, rain boots, and a paper crown, then declared breakfast a royal evaluation. Rory arrived at 9:59 with no expensive gifts. She brought blueberries. Mae opened the door and stared at the basket. Blueberries. You said not to bring anything expensive. So you brought fruit? Yes. Poppy appeared behind Mae and gasped. For pancakes? Rory nodded. Poppy looked at Mae. She can stay. Mae let them in. The morning unfolded carefully. Rory sat at the kitchen table because June ordered her to, and no one disobeyed June in her own kitchen. Poppy climbed into the chair beside her and began explaining the pancake rating system. Tom watched Rory with the guarded expression of a man trying to reconcile guilt, protectiveness, and the fact that Rory had once fixed his truck in a thunderstorm. June placed coffee in front of Rory. Still black? Rory looked surprised. Yes. Thank you. Mae noticed. Her mother remembered. Of course she did. Poppy watched Rory take a sip. Do you like it? Yes. It looks like mud. Some mud is useful. Poppy turned to Mae. Can I drink useful mud? No. Rory set the cup down. Correct answer. Poppy narrowed her eyes. You agree with Mama a lot. Your mama is often right. Mae nearly dropped the spatula. June smiled into the sink. Tom cleared his throat very loudly. Poppy accepted this truth and returned to her pancakes. For almost an hour, everything felt possible. Not fixed. Not healed. Possible. Mae had forgotten possible could feel so dangerous. Rory listened more than she spoke. When Poppy talked about her Portland preschool, Rory asked follow-up questions. When Poppy showed her the green sea glass, Rory treated it like a museum artifact. When Tom asked about Halstead Harbor development, Rory answered without sounding like a press release. Then the front doorbell rang. Mae saw Rory's face change before anyone moved. Not fear. Recognition. Rory stood. Do not open it. Mae's stomach dropped. June looked toward the hallway. Rory? The doorbell rang again. Poppy slid off her chair. I'll get it. No, Rory and Mae said together. Poppy froze. Her lip trembled. Mae went to her immediately. Sorry, Bug. That was too loud. Rory was already moving into the hall. Mae followed, one hand holding Poppy behind her. Tom appeared at the kitchen doorway. The bell rang a 3rd time. Then a voice came through the door. Rory, darling, I saw your car. Mae felt the blood drain from her face. Helena Halstead. The woman who had rewritten all their lives with one lie stood on the other side of her parents' front door. Rory's face went ice cold. Stay in the kitchen, she said to Mae. Mae almost laughed. Absolutely not. Rory turned. Their eyes met. A whole argument passed without words. Then, Rory nodded once. Behind me, then. Mae hated that she moved there. She hated more that it felt right. Old Truss did not ask permission before waking up. Rory opened the door. Helena Halstead stood on the porch in a cream coat, silver hair swept into an elegant knot, pearls at her throat, a smile on her face that had never once reached her eyes. She looked exactly the same as the day she told Mae to be reasonable. Older, maybe. Sharper. Like time had polished instead of softened her. "Rory," Helena said, "you missed breakfast at the house." I did not miss it. Helena's smile thinned. Then her eyes shifted to Mae. Mae Lennox. Mae's hand tightened around Poppy's shoulder. Poppy peeked from behind her. Helena saw. For one fraction of a second, the mask slipped. Triumph. Not surprise. Not guilt. Triumph. Mae saw it. Rory saw it. Helena had known. Maybe not before yesterday. Maybe from a whisper in town. Maybe from the same gossip that traveled faster than weather. But she knew now, and she looked at Poppy not like a granddaughter, not like a child, but like a problem that had finally become useful. "Who is this lovely girl?" Helena asked. Rory stepped fully into the doorway, blocking Helena's view. "No." Helena blinked. "I beg your pardon?" "No." "Rory, don't be dramatic. Do not speak to the child." Mae's heart pounded. Helena's eyes cooled. "We are standing on the porch of a family we have known for decades. Surely I may greet. You may leave." Tom appeared behind Mae. His voice, usually warm and careful, turned hard. "That would be best, Helena." Helena looked past Rory at him. "Tom, I'm sorry to hear your health has been difficult." Tom did not blink. "You threatening my daughter was worse for my heart than surgery." June said from behind him, "And I am holding a cast-iron skillet, so choose your next sentence with spiritual care." Poppy whispered, "Grandma has the pancake pan." Mae whispered back, "I know." Rory did not look away from Helena. Helena sighed lightly. "Rory, you cannot simply cut me out because of an old misunderstanding." Rory's voice was flat. "An old misunderstanding?" Mae stepped forward despite Rory's slight movement to stop her. "No," Mae said. "Let her say it." Helena's gaze sharpened. Mae felt the old fear rise. Then Poppy's small hand slipped into hers. The fear did not leave. It learned to stand. "You forged a letter," Mae said. "You sent a lawyer to threaten me when I was pregnant. You kept Rory from knowing her child." Helena's eyes moved to Poppy again. This time Rory did not block fast enough. Poppy stared up at Helena. Curious. Alert. Rory's eyes. Mae's heart. Helena smiled. "Children are complicated matters. Young people make emotional decisions. I did what was necessary to protect my daughter's future." Rory went very still. Poppy whispered, "Mama, who is she?" Mae crouched immediately. "She is someone we are not inviting inside." Poppy nodded. "Because she's mean?" Mae heard June inhale sharply. Rory's mouth twitched with something like grief. Mae said, "Because she made choices that hurt our family." Poppy looked at Helena. Then, with the brutal clarity of childhood, said, "You should say sorry." Helena's face froze. For one beautiful second, no one moved. Then June said, "I like this child." Helena recovered first. How charming. Rory stepped onto the porch and closed the door behind her, leaving Mae and Poppy inside. Mae moved to the window before she could stop herself. She could not hear everything through the glass, but she saw Rory stand before her mother like a storm that had finally chosen landfall. Later, Rory would tell her the words. Not all of them. Enough. Helena had tried to say Mae was unstable. Rory had asked if stability meant forging letters. Helena had said bloodlines mattered. Rory had said, Poppy was not a bloodline, she was a child. Helena had said, Mae had cost Rory 6 years. Rory had said, you cost all of us 6 years, and if you go near Poppy again, I will take every document I have, every letter, every witness, and every Halstead secret you think money buried, and I will make sure the whole island knows what kind of grandmother you tried to become. Helena left in her black car 10 minutes later. Rory stood on the porch long after it disappeared. Mae opened the door. Rory did not turn. She knew enough, Rory said. Mae stepped outside. Enough? Enough to pretend she was justified. Mae wrapped her arms around herself. The morning light had changed. Pancake sat cold in the kitchen. Poppy was inside with June, asking why some grown-ups needed to be put in timeout. Rory finally turned. I am sorry she came here. You didn't send her. No, but she came because of me. Mae shook her head. She came because power hates locked doors. Rory looked at her. Mae's voice softened. You gave me one once. Rory turned then, like the words had touched her shoulder. Rory swallowed. I tried. You did. Neither moved. Then Mae said, Poppy heard some of it. Rory's face tightened. I'm sorry. She asked who you are. Rory stopped breathing. Mae looked toward the kitchen window. I told her you are someone important. Rory nodded slowly, the movement careful, as if her body might break if hope got too large. Mae looked back. I think we should tell her today. Rory's eyes filled. Are you sure? No. A laugh escaped Rory, choked and soft. Mae stepped closer. But I'm done letting fear write the script before we get there. Rory covered her mouth with one hand. Mae reached for her other hand. Only that. It was more than enough. Rory looked down at their joined fingers like she had been given something holy and fragile. Inside, Poppy shouted, Are we eating cold pancakes or emotionally waiting? June called back, Both, apparently. Mae laughed. Rory did too. The sound was shaky. Real. Together, they went back inside. They told Poppy after lunch. Not at the table, because June said no life-changing family revelations near syrup. Not in the living room, because Poppy had declared it the headquarters of her sea glass museum. They told her in the backyard under the old apple tree, where Mae had spent half her childhood reading books and pretending she did not hear her parents call her in for chores. Poppy sat between them on a picnic blanket. Mr. Chompers rested in her lap for emotional support. Mae had prepared words. Simple words. Gentle words. Naturally, Poppy destroyed all of them with one question. She had rehearsed them in her head while washing dishes, while helping Poppy change into a dry sweater, while watching Rory stand near the garden gate looking like she was going to face a firing squad and would apologize to the bullets for inconveniencing them. Then Poppy looked at her and said, Is Rory my other mother? Mae forgot every word. Rory made a small sound. Mae stared at Poppy. Poppy hugged the dinosaur. I heard Grandma say our family, and the mean Pearl lady said bloodline, and Rory has my eyes, and you were doing the wistful thing. Mae closed her eyes. Of course. Of course this child, who once solved where June hid Christmas presents by analyzing flour on her sleeve, had already assembled the truth from fragments and adult panic. Mae reached for her hand. Yes, she said softly. Rory is your other mother. Poppy looked at Rory. Rory's face had gone pale. Poppy tilted her head. Again. That same devastating angle. Did you know? Rory shook her head. No, sweetheart. Why not? Mae's voice trembled. Because some grown-ups made bad choices, and because I was scared. Poppy looked at Mae. Of Rory? Mae's eyes filled. No, not exactly. Rory's hand curled in the blanket. Mae took a breath. When I found out I was going to have you, I tried to tell Rory. But someone told me Rory didn't want to talk to me anymore. I believed them. Then I moved away. Poppy's brow furrowed. Who told you? Mae hesitated. Rory spoke quietly. My mother. The mean pearl lady? Rory's mouth twitched painfully. Yes. Poppy looked toward the house, as if Helena might still be hiding behind a bush. She is not invited to my birthday. No, Mae said. She is not. Poppy turned back to Rory. Did you want me? The question broke Rory. There was no dramatic collapse, no sob, no reaching. Only her face changing around pain, so pure Mae almost could not look at it. Rory lowered herself fully onto the blanket, sitting cross-legged so she was not towering over Poppy. I did not know about you, she said. But if I had known, I would have wanted you every day. I would have come to every doctor appointment your mama allowed. I would have learned how to braid hair very badly until you made me practice. I would have read you too many bedtime stories. I would have known your favorite pancakes and your dinosaur's full title. Poppy looked down at Mr. Chompers. His full title is Mr. Chompers Esquire. Rory nodded with grave seriousness. I would have respected his title. Poppy blinked. Then she asked, Are you sad? Rory's laugh came out wet. Yes. Because you missed when I was a baby? Yes. I was very cute. I believe that. Mae wiped her face. Poppy considered. I screamed a lot, Mama says. Rory looked at Mae. Mae nodded. So much. Poppy sighed. You missed screaming. I would have liked to be there for that too. Poppy moved closer by 1 inch. Not into Rory's arms. 1 inch. Rory treated it like a coronation. Rory noticed. She stayed still. Can I call you Rory? Poppy asked. You can call me anything that makes you comfortable. Not Mama? Rory's breath caught. Only if you want to, and only when you want to. You already have a Mama. Poppy looked at Mae. Mae smiled through tears. Then Poppy looked back at Rory. Maybe Rory Mama later. Rory closed her eyes. Mae thought she might break apart from witnessing the restraint it took Rory not to pull Poppy close. Poppy lifted Mr. Chompers and placed him in Rory's lap. Hold him, he helps. Rory accepted the dinosaur with both hands. Thank you. Poppy leaned against Mae. Mae wrapped an arm around her. For a few minutes, they sat under the apple tree with the dinosaur between them. 6 years of absence did not vanish, but it made room for the first small piece of something new. Then Poppy asked, Does this mean Rory can come to school Grandparents' Day? Mae blinked. Grandparents' Day? I mean Grown-Up Day. I forgot the name. Rory said. I would be honored. Poppy nodded. And Pancakes Thursday still happen? Yes, Mae and Rory said together. Poppy smiled. Good. Later, after Poppy ran inside to tell June that Rory was her, maybe later Rory Mama, and that Mr. Chompers approved, Mae and Rory stayed under the apple tree. Neither spoke for a long time. Then Rory said, Thank you. Mae stared at the blanket. She deserved the truth. So did you. Mae swallowed. So did you. Rory looked at the house. Through the kitchen window, Poppy was animatedly explaining something to June using both hands. June was crying into a dish towel. Tom was pretending not to. Greer had arrived sometime during the conversation and was standing near the back door, listening with her arms crossed and her eyes suspiciously bright. Mae noticed Rory seeing Greer. Your sister came? I texted her after Helena left. Is that safe? Greer is many things. Unsafe is mostly directed outward. Mae almost smiled. Greer stepped into the yard, holding a paper bag. I brought apology pastries. Mae stood. Greer lifted the bag. Not from me. I was not informed of the secret niece. Therefore, my conscience is irritatingly clean. These are from the bakery because children like sugar and adults like emotional displacement. Poppy burst from the kitchen. Are those muffins? Greer looked at her. For 1 second, her face softened completely. Then she recovered. They are structurally muffin adjacent. Poppy narrowed her eyes. That means yes? Yes. Poppy ran to her. Greer crouched. Mae held her breath. Greer looked at the child with the full weight of recognition. Hello, Poppy. I'm Greer. Poppy stared. Then gasped. You look like my eyebrows. Greer blinked. Rory made a sound into her hand. Mae laughed. Greer said, That may be the most unsettling compliment I have ever received. Poppy smiled. Can I have a muffin? Yes, because you have excellent observational skills. Poppy accepted this as justice. Watching Greer walk into the house with Poppy, Mae felt the shape of the world shift again. Not fixed, not easy, but wider. Rory stood beside her. She likes you, Rory said. Mae looked at her. Poppy likes pastries. Greer likes very few people. She gave Poppy the blueberry one. That means something? That means inheritance rights, probably. Mae laughed again. Rory looked at her with quiet wonder. Mae's smile faded under the tenderness of that gaze. Don't, she whispered. Rory immediately looked away. I'm sorry. No, Mae wrapped her arms around herself. I don't know how to survive being looked at like that again. Rory's voice was gentle. Like what? Like I came back. Rory did not answer fast. The wind moved through the apple leaves. Then she said, You did. Mae closed her eyes. Only for 3 weeks. I know. But the way Rory said it told Mae she was already grieving the end. So was Mae. That was the problem. 3 weeks became 1. Then 2. Then the days began slipping through Mae's fingers like sand. She had come home to help her father recover. Somehow, she was the one learning how to stay alive in an old place. Poppy adjusted faster than anyone. Children often did when adults finally stopped lying badly. She did not wake up transformed. She still hated peas, still tried to negotiate bedtime like a union leader, still believed shoes were a suggestion unless puddles were present. But Rory became part of her orbit with a speed that scared Mae. Rory never pushed. That helped. She came when invited. She left when Mae said Poppy needed rest. She answered questions honestly but carefully. She did not correct Poppy when Poppy introduced her to a neighbor as my Rory, who is also a mother, but not the boss mother, because Mama is the boss mother. Rory only said, That is accurate governance. Poppy loved that. Mae did too, against her will. The island, of course, noticed everything. Briarport had never met a silence it could not season with rumor. People stared at the bakery, at the pharmacy, at the docks. Someone at the post office asked Mae if the Halstead situation was resolved now, as if Mae had misplaced a package rather than a life. Mae learned to lift her chin. Rory learned to step beside her without stepping in front. Greer learned that Poppy could be bribed with cinnamon rolls into calling her Aunt Greer only once and then never again because Poppy decided Greer the Tall was better. Helena did not disappear. Women like Helena did not vanish when denied access. They simply changed doors. The custody petition arrived on a Friday. Of course it did. Bad news loved arriving when people had just started breathing. Not from Rory. Not even from Helena directly. It came through Simon Vale, the same attorney whose letter had sent Mae running. Petition for emergency family review regarding concealed Halstead heir. Mae read the first page 3 times before the words made sense. Then, not at all. Her hand went numb. Poppy was upstairs, singing to her stuffed animals. June was at the market. Tom was napping. Mae stood alone in the kitchen with the envelope on the table and heard every old fear wake at once. They're going to take her. The thought was old. Helena had planted it 6 years ago, and fear had kept it watered. Rory promised. But Rory was a Halstead. Bloodline. Asset. Heir. Mae backed away from the table. Her phone rang. Rory. Mae stared at the screen. For one terrible second, she did not answer. Then she did. Mae, Rory said, voice urgent. Did you get something from Simon Vale? Mae could not speak. Mae. Yes. I didn't know. Greer caught the filing alert through a contact at the courthouse. I am on my way. Don't. Silence. Rory's voice changed. What? Don't come here. Mae, my mother filed. I know what she filed. I can fix this. The words hit wrong. Fix. Power words. Halstead words. Mae heard them through every threat Helena had ever made. Mae's fear took them and twisted. Can you? Or can your family decide who gets access to my daughter and call it fixing? Rory went quiet. Mae hated herself immediately. But fear was faster than regret. Mae, Rory said carefully, I am not the petition. No, but your name is why it exists. That is true. The answer stopped Mae cold. No defense, no outrage, just truth. Rory continued, and because my name is part of the danger, I will not come to the house if you don't want me there. But I am asking you to call Maribel Quinn. Mae blinked. Who? My attorney. Not Halstead counsel. Mine. Greer's friend. She specializes in family law and restraining orders against wealthy monsters. Mae almost laughed. It came out like a sob. She sounds expensive. I will pay. No. Then Greer will pay and lie to me about it. Rory. This is not charity, Rory said. This is my mother attacking you with resources she stole from me too. Let me redirect some of what should have protected us 6 years ago. Mae pressed a hand to her forehead. I'm scared. I know. I hate this. I know. I hate that part of me still wants to run. Rory's voice softened. Then don't decide while running is speaking. Mae closed her eyes. The sentence reached through panic. That was the problem with Rory. Even after 6 years, she knew where Mae hid. What do I do? Mae whispered. Call Maribel. I will text her number. Then call me back or don't. Your choice. I'll wait. You're always waiting. Yes. Doesn't that make you angry? Yes. Mae's breath caught. Rory kept going, voice steady. I am angry at every year we lost. I am angry at my mother. I am angry at your parents. I am sometimes angry at you. I am often angry at myself. But I will not spend that anger where Poppy can be burned by it. Mae slid into a chair. The kitchen blurred. Okay, she whispered. Okay? Send the number. Within 20 minutes, Maribel Quinn was on video call. She had short copper hair, square glasses, and the calm expression of a woman who had ruined many rich men's afternoons. By evening, she had filed a response, a motion to dismiss, and an emergency protective order preventing Helena from approaching Poppy or contacting Mae. By night, Rory arrived only after Mae texted one word. Come. She found Mae on the porch steps, arms wrapped around herself, the petition folded beside her. Rory stopped at the bottom step, not assuming she could come closer. Mae looked down at her. The porch light cut Rory's face into shadow and gold. She looked tired, fierce, afraid. I almost didn't call you, Mae said. I know. I wanted to pack. I know. I thought maybe I was stupid for trusting you. Rory swallowed. That would be understandable. Mae hated that. She wanted Rory to argue. She wanted the easy villain of defensiveness. Instead, Rory kept handing her honesty, and Mae had nowhere to put her oldest weapons. I don't want to run, Mae said. Rory's eyes lifted. Mae's voice broke. But I don't know how to stay. Rory climbed one step. Stopped. May I sit? Mae nodded. Rory sat beside her, leaving space between them. They looked out at the dark street. I can't promise staying won't hurt, Rory said. Mae laughed softly. Terrible sales pitch. I know, but I can promise you won't face Helena alone. Mae looked at her. And Poppy? Rory's voice turned rough. No one takes Poppy from you. Not even you? Especially not me. Mae looked down at the petition. Helena called her an heir. I know. She's a child. I know. She still asks if the moon follows our car because it likes us. Rory smiled faintly. It does. Mae's laugh turned into tears. Rory's hand moved, then stopped. May I? Mae nodded. Rory put her arm around Mae's shoulders. Slowly, carefully. Mae leaned into her and cried for the years. The letter, the fear, the daughter upstairs, the woman beside her, and the fact that love had returned not as a rescue but as a witness. Rory held her like someone keeping a promise made too late but meant completely. The hearing lasted 18 minutes. Mae had spent 6 years being afraid of Halstead power. 18 minutes did not erase that. But it put a crack in the wall. Mae had imagined a courtroom drama, raised voices, Helena in pearls, Rory making a speech that would shake the walls. Instead, it took place in a modest county family courtroom with fluorescent lights, a judge who looked deeply unimpressed by wealth, and Helena's attorney sweating through his collar while Maribel Quinn dismantled the petition with surgical cheerfulness. Poppy was not there. Mae had insisted. Poppy spent the morning with June, Tom, and Greer, building an anti-mean pearl lady fortress out of couch cushions. Rory sat beside Mae, not across from her, not with Helena. That mattered. Helena entered like she expected the room to arrange itself around her. It did not. Rory did not look at her. Not once. When Simon Vale began speaking about hidden lineage, family legacy, and the need for appropriate placement, the judge removed her glasses and said, "Counsel, this is a child, not a disputed antique." Maribel's smile was small and lethal. Mae nearly cried from gratitude. Then Rory stood. Not because anyone asked. Because Maribel called her as a supporting witness. Rory took the oath with one hand raised and her eyes on Mae. Maribel asked, "Ms. Halstead, did you authorize this petition?" "No." "Do you seek custody of Poppy Lennox?" "No." Helena shifted in her seat. Maribel continued, "Do you believe Mae Lennox is an unfit parent?" Rory's voice went cold. "No. Mae Lennox raised Poppy with love, honesty within impossible circumstances, and more courage than anyone in my family showed when it mattered." Mae looked down fast. Maribel placed a document on the screen. "Did you write letters to Mae Lennox after she left Briarport 6 years ago?" "Yes." "Were they delivered?" "No." "Do you now understand why?" Rory finally looked at Helena. The courtroom temperature dropped. "Because my mother interfered." Helena's lips tightened. Simon objected. The judge sighed like a woman who had heard enough nonsense to season a lifetime. "Overruled. Continue." Rory's voice did not shake. "My mother and Mr. Vale created the conditions that kept me from knowing Poppy existed. I will not allow them to use the consequences of their interference to punish Mae or destabilize the child they already harmed." Maribel asked, "What outcome are you requesting today?" Rory looked at Mae. "Dismissal of the petition, immediate protection for Poppy and Mae, and the right to build a relationship with my daughter only through Mae's consent and Poppy's comfort." The judge watched Rory for a long moment. Then she looked at Mae. "Ms. Lennox, do you wish to add anything?" Mae stood. Her legs felt weak. Rory's hand did not move toward her, but it was there on the table, steady and open. Mae placed her fingers beside it. "Not touching. Enough. My daughter is not a secret anymore," Mae said. "But she is still a little girl. She likes pancakes and sea glass and dinosaurs with legal titles. She should not have to become evidence because adults lied before she was born. The room went silent. Mae continued. I made mistakes. I was scared, but I have never used Poppy as a weapon. I am asking the court not to let anyone else do that now. The judge dismissed Helena's petition. She granted the protective order. She referred Simon Vale's conduct for review. Helena left without looking at Mae. At the courthouse steps, sunlight hit Rory's face and made her look younger. Or maybe lighter. Greer called to tell them Poppy had declared victory and demanded celebratory grilled cheese. Mae laughed. Rory watched her like the sound hurt in a good way. What? Mae asked. Rory shook her head. Nothing. Legal review face. Rory blinked. Mae froze. She had not meant to say it. That had been their old joke. 6 years gone and still waiting under her tongue. Rory smiled. Emotional review, maybe. Mae's chest tightened. They stood on the courthouse steps, with too much history between them and not enough distance left to pretend it was only history. Rory looked down. I meant what I said in there. I know. I don't want access because I have a right. I want trust because I earn it. Mae nodded. You're earning it. Rory's breath caught. Mae looked away. Slowly. Slowly is good. Poppy ran down the steps before Mae could answer. Greer behind her shouting, Do not sprint near civic architecture. Poppy collided with Mae first, then looked at Rory. Did we win? Mae crouched. Yes, Bug. We won. Poppy looked at Rory. Did you help? Rory nodded. A little. Greer snorted. She did a controlled murder with testimony. Poppy gasped. No murder. Metaphorical murder. Mae said, Greer. Greer shrugged. Poppy reached for Rory's hand. Rory stared at the small fingers, then at Mae. Mae nodded. Rory took Poppy's hand. Poppy swung it once. Can we get grilled cheese? Rory's voice was unsteady. Yes. And pancakes tomorrow? Yes. And can I call you Rory Mama today to try it? Rory stopped walking. Mae stopped too. Greer looked abruptly at the sky. Poppy frowned. Is that okay? Rory crouched in front of her. Her eyes were wet. That is very okay. Poppy smiled. Okay, Rory Mama. We need grilled cheese. Rory laughed, then cried. Poppy patted her cheek with alarming seriousness. Grown-ups cry a lot here. Mae laughed through her own tears. Yes, she said. They do. Because of feelings? Mostly. Poppy sighed. I will allow it. Greer muttered. Merciful ruler. They went for grilled cheese. No one ran. No one hid. No one was taken. That night, after Poppy fell asleep against Rory on the Lennox couch, still clutching Mr. Chompers Esquire, Mae stood in the kitchen doorway and watched them. Rory did not move for 43 minutes. Mae counted. At first because it was funny, then because it was not. Poppy's cheek rested against Rory's shoulder. Rory's arm hovered protectively around her, but did not tighten enough to wake her. Every few minutes, Rory looked down as if confirming the child was real. June washed dishes quietly. Tom pretended to read. Greer sat on the floor near the couch, eating cereal from a mug and pretending she was not watching too. Finally, Mae walked over. She's deeply asleep, she whispered. Rory whispered back. If I move, I may disrupt her spine. Mae pressed her lips together. Her spine is fine. She trusted me enough to sleep. The words were barely audible. Mae's teasing died. Yes, she said. She did. Rory looked down at Poppy again. I missed this. Mae sat beside them. I know. I keep thinking about all the versions of her I'll never meet. Baby Poppy, toddler Poppy, first word Poppy, first fever Poppy. Mae's throat tightened. She was loud. I wish I knew. She bit a chair once. Rory blinked. Why? She's investigating. Of course. Mae smiled. She hated socks, loved blueberries, cried whenever the vacuum turned on, said moon before mama, which I found personally offensive. Rory's eyes filled again. Mae continued softly, giving her what she could. She used to fall asleep only if I hummed badly. She called every dog a cow for 2 months. She had a dinosaur birthday when she turned 3 and insisted all the guests roar before eating cake. Rory laughed silently. Poppy stirred. Both froze. Poppy settled again. Mae looked at Rory. I can tell you stories, Mae whispered. Not all at once, but I can. Rory looked at her like that was kinder than forgiveness. Thank you. Mae's hand rested on the couch between them. Rory did not touch it. Mae moved her fingers first. Just enough. Rory looked at their hands, then slowly slid her fingers under Mae's. They sat like that while their daughter slept between past and future. Summer on Briarport changed everything, and nothing. Poppy learned to ride a bike with Rory jogging beside her, one hand ready at her back but rarely touching. Mae watched from the sidewalk, pretending not to cry when Poppy shouted, Look, Rory Mama, I'm doing dangerous independence. Rory tripped over a garden hose. Poppy declared it an instructional fall. Greer began showing up with increasingly ridiculous gifts. A pirate hat, a bug hotel, a tiny blazer because she said every child deserved options in formal intimidation. Poppy adored her. Greer pretended this was inconvenient while rearranging half her work schedule around accidental visits. June and Tom adjusted too. Guilt did not vanish. It sat at the table some nights. It interrupted conversations. It made apologies repeat themselves until Mae had to say, I heard you, and mean both mercy and enough. Rory and Mae adjusted worst of all. They were careful. So careful it became absurd. Rory asked before every touch. Mae appreciated it, then sometimes hated that she appreciated it. Mae invited Rory to dinner, then panicked when Rory fit too easily into the rhythm of bedtime stories and dishes. Rory smiled at Mae across rooms, then looked away first because hope still felt like trespassing. They were not together. Not officially. Not secretly. They were two women who had once loved each other, now raising a daughter through the wreckage of a lie. That should have been enough. It was not. One evening in late August, the three of them walked to the lighthouse after dinner. Poppy ran ahead with a kite shaped like a dragon. Rory carried the spool because Poppy had declared her tall enough to negotiate with wind. Mae walked beside her. The sunset turned the sea gold. For a while, there was peace. Then Poppy's kite caught a strong gust and soared higher. Poppy screamed with delight. Rory laughed. Full laugh, unprotected. Mae stopped walking. Rory turned, still smiling. What? Mae shook her head. Nothing. Rory's smile faded into concern. Mae. I love you. The words left Mae before fear could censor them. Rory froze. Poppy kept running ahead, unaware she had just become the least dramatic person in the family. Mae's heart slammed against her ribs. I didn't mean to say it like that. Rory's voice was barely there. How did you mean to say it? Never. Maybe, in a controlled environment, with snacks. Rory stared at her. Then she laughed once, broken and bright, and covered her mouth. Mae's eyes filled. I'm angry still, Mae said. I know. I'm scared still. I know. I don't want to pretend we can make up for 6 years by loving loudly now. We can't. I don't want to lose myself in you again. I don't want that either. Mae stepped closer. But I do love you. I never stopped. I just buried it under fear and diapers and rent and lies I told myself were noble. Rory's eyes shone. I love you, she said. I loved you when I was too afraid to say it. I loved you when I thought you left because I wasn't enough. I loved you badly from a distance because it was all I had. I love you now, but I don't need that to become a demand. Mae's breath shook. Ask me. Rory went still. For what? Mae's voice softened. What you've wanted to ask all summer. The wind moved between them. Poppy shouted in the distance, The dragon is doing crimes! Rory did not look away from Mae. May I kiss you? Mae stepped into her space. Yes. The kiss was nothing like the lighthouse kiss 6 years ago. That one had been the start of a storm neither of them knew how to survive. This one was slower, older, salted by grief, made careful by everything they had learned too late. Rory's hands stayed at Mae's waist, light enough to leave. Mae moved closer anyway. When they pulled apart, Rory looked wrecked. Mae smiled through tears. Emotional review face. Rory laughed. Poppy ran back then, dragging the kite string. She stopped, looked between them. Oh. Mae wiped her face. Hi, Bug. Poppy pointed. Did you kiss? Rory looked like she might walk into the sea. Mae said, Yes. Poppy considered. Are you getting married tomorrow? No, Mae said quickly. Rory coughed. Poppy nodded. Good. I have school. Mae laughed so hard she had to lean against Rory. Rory wrapped an arm around her. This time, Mae did not tense. Poppy handed Rory the kite spool. Hold this. The dragon is escaping. Rory took it. Mae watched them, her daughter and the woman she loved, both lit gold by the lowering sun. For the first time since returning to Briarport, she did not count how many days remained before she was supposed to leave. She counted the people beside her. 1. 2. Home did not happen all at once. It was not a decision made in a dramatic speech or a courthouse hallway. Home happened in smaller betrayals of old fear. Mae extended her stay by 1 week, then a month. Then she registered Poppy at Briarport Elementary just for the semester, which fooled no one, least of all Poppy, who announced to her class that she had 2 mothers, 1 dinosaur attorney, and a tall aunt who brings illegal muffins. Rory moved out of the Halstead estate in September. Not into the Lennox house. Mae was not ready for that, and Rory did not ask. Instead, Rory bought a small cottage 3 streets over with crooked floors, an overgrown garden, and a kitchen where Poppy immediately declared the pancake lighting superior. Helena tried one last letter. Rory returned it unopened. Greer sent Helena a houseplant with a note that said, Since you enjoy cultivating consequences. Mae told her that was petty. Greer said, Thank you. In October, Rory came to Poppy's school presentation about family trees. Mae braced herself. Family tree assignments had always felt like emotional landmines disguised as construction paper. Poppy stood in front of the class, holding a poster with 3 trees. Not 1. 3. This is my mama's tree, she said, pointing to a bright green one with May, June, Tom, and several relatives whose names were spelled creatively. This is my Rory mama's tree, she continued, pointing to a darker green one with Rory, Greer, and a tiny sticker of a storm cloud where Helena should have been. The teacher looked alarmed. Poppy was not finished. And this is my tree, she said, pointing to the middle, where she had drawn herself under branches that crossed from both sides. It got planted late, but that's okay, because Grandma says some flowers are dramatic. Mae cried. Rory cried. Greer took a picture and claimed it was for legal archives. At Christmas, Poppy asked if Rory could sleep over because Santa needed to know both mothers were present for gift verification. Mae looked at Rory. Rory looked at Mae. June, from the kitchen, shouted, I have already made up the guest room because I am not subtle. Poppy yelled, Grandma said subtle means sneaky but boring. Tom said, She's not wrong. That night, after Poppy fell asleep between them on the couch during a movie, Mae and Rory carried her upstairs together. In the hallway, Under the soft glow of a nightlight shaped like a whale, Rory paused. "What?" Mae whispered. Rory looked into Poppy's room. The walls were full now. Drawings from Portland, shells from Briarport, photos of Mae and Poppy, photos of Rory and Poppy, a new one of all three of them at the lighthouse, Poppy in the center, Rory and Mae looking at each other, while Greer badly pretended she had not taken the picture on purpose. Rory's voice was quiet. "She has us on her wall." Mae leaned against her shoulder. "She does. I never thought I would be on a child's wall. You say that like it's a criminal database." Rory smiled. Mae took her hand. "Come downstairs." Rory followed. They sat in the kitchen with the lights off except for the small lamp above the stove. Snow tapped against the windows. The house smelled like cinnamon, pine, and the cookies June had hidden badly. Mae looked at Rory across the table. "I'm not going back to Portland." Rory's hand tightened around her mug. Mae smiled softly. "I already gave notice on the apartment. Mom knows. Dad cried into soup. Poppy wants to bring the neighbor's cat, but the neighbor disagrees." Rory stared. Mae's voice trembled. "I'm staying, not because of fear, not because of court papers, not because Poppy needs you, though she does. Because I want this. Briarport, the chaos, the school posters, Greer's illegal muffins, you 3 streets over asking permission to kiss me even when we've been together for months." Rory's eyes filled. "I still should ask." "I know. I love that you do." Rory looked down. Mae reached across the table. "And maybe one day, when we're ready, you won't be 3 streets over." Rory's breath caught. Mae squeezed her hand. "Not tomorrow. No. Not because Christmas is emotionally manipulative. Of course not. Spring, maybe." Rory laughed softly. "Spring." They did not kiss then. They just sat together in the quiet kitchen, holding the kind of future that had stopped running ahead of them. Spring came with rain. Briarport turned green again. The hydrangeas woke. The harbor smelled less like winter and more like wet rope and possibility. Rory moved into the blue room at the back of the Lennox house for 2 weeks while her cottage floor was being repaired after what Poppy called the sinkhole incident and Rory called minor structural betrayal. 2 weeks became 4. Then Rory's toothbrush stayed. Then her books appeared in Mae's room. Then Poppy taped a sign to the bedroom door that said, "Mama and Rory Mama Room. Knock because privacy is law." Greer applauded the constitutional clarity. Living together was not magic. Rory folded towels incorrectly. Mae left paintbrushes in mugs that Rory occasionally tried to drink from. Poppy woke at 5:40 every Saturday because Joy had no respect for rest. They argued. Not like before, when silence had done most of the damage. Now they argued about bedtime routines, Helena's latest legal nuisance, whether Rory was allowed to buy Poppy a telescope without consulting Mae, and why Mae insisted on keeping every jar because it might be useful. They also apologized. Awkwardly at first. Then better. One rainy night in May, Mae found Rory in the kitchen staring at a stack of old letters. The letters Rory had written. The letters Mae had finally received 6 years late. Mae stood in the doorway. "Bad night?" Rory nodded. Mae crossed the room. "Do you want space or company?" Rory looked up. "Company." Mae sat beside her. Rory touched the top envelope. "I keep thinking about the version of me who wrote these." Mae waited. She was so careful, so afraid of pushing. She thought restraint was love. Mae leaned her head against Rory's shoulder. "Sometimes it was. Sometimes it cost us everything. Helena cost us everything." Rory's jaw tightened. Mae took her hand. "And then we stopped letting her." Rory turned toward her. "I don't want to lose time again." "We won't. You can't promise that." "No," Mae said, "but I can promise I won't disappear when I'm scared." Rory closed her eyes. That was the vow before the vow. The proposal came in June. Not from Rory. From Poppy. They were at the lighthouse, because of course they were. The sky was clear, the water blue, and Greer had been tasked with bringing snacks, which meant there were croissants, fruit, 3 kinds of cheese, and one suspiciously expensive cake hidden in a cooler behind a rock. Mae suspected nothing until Poppy stood on a flat stone with Mr. Chompers under one arm and a paper in her hand. Rory looked terrified. Mae looked between them. "What is happening?" Poppy cleared her throat. "I have a speech." Mae stared at Rory. Rory whispered, "I was not allowed to edit." Poppy began. "Dear Mama, dear Rory Mama, families are complicated. Some people lie, but we are not inviting them. Some people are scared, but then they learn. Some people bring pancakes and fall over hoses. Some people keep letters. Some people come home." Mae's eyes filled instantly. Rory was already crying. Poppy continued with great seriousness. "I have decided that since we are already a family, you should get married so I can wear a fancy dress and Greer the Tall can stop saying she has no legal standing at school events." Greer called from behind the rock. "I said that once." Poppy ignored her. She pulled a small box from her raincoat pocket and held it out to Rory. "Now you ask." Rory took the box with shaking hands. Mae covered her mouth. Rory turned to her. The lighthouse stood behind them. The place that had seen them begin. The place that had waited through all they lost. Rory lowered herself to one knee. Mae started crying so hard she could barely see. "Mae Lennox," Rory said, voice breaking. "I loved you before I knew how to say it without fear. I lost you because people taught us silence was safer than truth. I found you again because our daughter looked at me on a dock and made the whole world honest." Poppy whispered loudly, "Good line." Rory laughed through tears. Mae did too. Rory opened the box. The ring was simple, gold, with a small green stone the color of sea glass. "I cannot give you back 6 years," Rory said. "I cannot undo the letters, the fear, the birthdays I missed, or the nights you had to be brave alone. But I can give you every honest day I have left. I can ask before I enter. I can stay when staying is hard. I can love Poppy without ever using love as a claim. I can love you without making love a cage." Mae sobbed. Rory's voice softened. "Will you marry me? Not because we lost time, not because of Poppy, not because fate dragged us back to the island. Because you choose me, and I choose you, out loud this time." Mae dropped to her knees in front of her. "Yes," she said. Rory closed her eyes. Mae took her face in both hands. "Yes, yes, Rory," Poppy screamed. Greer set off a party popper so aggressively a gull fled the cliff. June and Tom appeared from behind the lighthouse because apparently every family member had been hiding like emotionally invested criminals. Mae kissed Rory with salt on both their faces, and Poppy's delighted shrieking in the background. It was not perfect. Perfect belonged to stories without lawsuits, lost letters, or 6-year silences. This was better. This was chosen. The wedding was small, not because the island lacked interest. Briarport had tried very hard to turn it into a civic event. June had to tell 3 neighbors, 1 retired pastor, and the owner of the bait shop that no, they were not part of the planning committee. Greer offered to provide security. Poppy offered to be flower commander. Rory suggested eloping and was voted down by everyone, including herself, once Poppy began designing a badge. They married in the lighthouse garden in September, 1 week before Poppy's 7th birthday. The same month Poppy had been born. The same month Mae had once thought she was alone. Now the garden was full. June cried before the music started. Tom cried when Mae walked down the path. Greer cried only when Poppy handed her a flower crown and whispered, "You're official now." She denied this later despite photographic evidence. Rory stood beneath an arch of cedar branches and white roses, wearing a dark green suit that made her eyes look brighter. When she saw Mae, she forgot to breathe. Mae smiled. "Legal review face," she whispered when she reached her. Rory's mouth trembled. "Emotional review." The officiant asked if they were ready. Poppy, standing between them with a basket of petals, said, "They are. I checked." Everyone laughed. The vows were not long. They did not need to be. Mae promised not to run from truth because fear sounded convincing. She promised to keep building a home where Poppy could ask questions and receive answers that did not punish her for being curious. She promised to love Rory as the woman before her, not the ghost of the years they lost. Rory promised to never confuse patience with distance, protection with control, or blood with entitlement. She promised to earn Poppy's trust every day, even after the law and the island called her mother. She promised Mae doors, not walls, truth, not strategy, love, not inheritance. Poppy was bored halfway through and began sorting petals by emotional importance. When the officiant invited them to kiss, Rory looked at Mae, still asking. "Always." Mae smiled. "Yes." Rory kissed her under the lighthouse, while the sea crashed below, and Poppy threw petals straight upward, causing several to land in Greer's hair. Afterward, there was cake. Poppy ate 2 slices and declared marriage delicious. At sunset, Mae stood near the railing overlooking the water. Rory came beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. The lighthouse cast a long shadow over the grass. Mae looked out at the sea. "6 years ago, I thought this place ruined us." Rory took her hand. "I did too. Maybe it just waited." Rory looked at her. Mae leaned into her side. Behind them, Poppy was teaching Greer and Tom a dance that appeared to involve stomping, spinning, and legal objections from Mr. Chompers Esquire. June was laughing. The island was loud. Alive. Home. Mae looked at Rory's hand around hers, then at the ring on her finger, then back at the water. For years, she had believed love was something she had to survive losing. Then Poppy had arrived, fierce and bright, and taught her love could become a person who asked questions at inconvenient times. Then Rory had come back into the story, not as a demand, not as a claim, but as someone willing to stand at the door and wait to be invited. Mae finally understood. A family was not built by blood alone. It was not protected by secrets. It was not saved by running before anyone could be hurt. A family was built in the hard, ordinary choosing. Pancakes. Courtrooms. Apology pastries. School posters. Rainy kitchens. Beach mornings. Doors that opened from the inside. And 2 women who had lost 6 years, but refused to lose the rest. Poppy ran toward them, flower crown crooked, cheeks flushed, arms wide. "Mamas! Greer the Tall says I can have another cake if you approve emotionally." Rory sighed. Mae laughed. "No." Poppy skidded to a stop. "Both of you?" "Both of us," Rory said. Poppy considered. "Marriage has made you powerful." Mae scooped her up. Poppy wrapped one arm around Mae's neck and the other around Rory's shoulder. The 3 of them stood together beneath the lighthouse, wind in their hair, salt on their skin, the last light of day turning the sea gold. Once, Mae had come home with her daughter and a secret. Now she stood with her wife and their child, no longer counting what fear had stolen, only what love had returned.